Hey, what's happening, y'all? DJ Nazi 305. We are here in the beautiful city of Miami. It's HBCU Gameday, and you already know we are live at the Orange Blossom Classic, baby. It's gonna be an experience like no other. Get ready for it. Get ready. Oh, oh, oh.
Saturday is in the books. There are empty football stadiums across America. Black college football is back. A lot of excitement on Saturday, but I'm sorry to tell you that it was all just an appetizer to the main course, which is today, Sunday, in Miami, the Orange Blossom Classic, FAMU versus Jackson State. This is our Orange Blossom Classic special here on HBCU Gameday. I'm going to turn it over to the man who's been enjoying some sunshine all week, Mr. FAMU himself, Vaughn Wilson. He's down in Miami. Vaughn.
It's finally here. It is September 5th, 2021. It seems we've been waiting for this day for 2 years. FAMU versus Jackson State in the Denny's Orange Blossom Classic, presented by the P3 Group. Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. After a year off with COVID, the Rattlers are 650 days since playing their last game against Bethune-Cookman in the Florida Blue Florida Classic. Jackson State got their feet wet this spring, but Coach Prime has revamped the entire roster, so it will be an entirely new team led by his son, Shedeur Sanders, at quarterback. HBCU Gameday has it covered from head to toe, but before we get started, we've got to give big props out to Elijah Rutland, a student at FAMU who is known for his artistic skills. He's been out to Apple, he's been to Nike, and he came with this gem of a graphic showing Willie Shotgun Simmons and Coach Prime Sanders getting ready for that chess match, but I don't think they're gonna be playing chess. I think they're gonna be clashing helmets. But let's take it back a little bit while we get started. Let's go back to 1978. Probably the biggest game ever between FAMU and Jackson State. It was the NCAA playoffs in 1978, and FAMU had to travel to Memorial Stadium to face a hot Jackson State team. Hubbard had his crew ready, W.C. Gordon had his team ready. They were known as defensive juggernauts, and it was one of the hardest hitting games you ever want to see. The Rattlers would prevail, but to tell the story, let's bring in brand new minted, and he'll be inducted in November, FAMU head coach Rudy Hubbard. He'll tell you about the story. Coach?
Jackson State had a great team. I mean, they were loaded, and it's ironic that we playing Jackson State this year, but they were loaded. They had these guys, Perry Williams coming out of the backfield. They ran the wishbone at the time, was a real popular. And if you weren't really a disciplined team, you wasn't gonna stop the wishbone. And so. But they had another guy comparable to Harold Oliver. They had a guy on defense comparable to our Harold Oliver on our defense. He was bigger than Harold, and but fast. You know, one of them kind of guys, hard to block type of guy. So we knew we had our challenges, and had a quarterback that could dish that thing off, man. But I think it was just one of those. That was the championship game to me. Still is. We beat Jackson State in that game at their place out there. You know, something had happened a few years before. It wasn't the same year. It was a few years before that where we played Southern, and we go up there, we get there to play, and it turned into rain and sleet, ice, and most of my guys from being from Florida, they just didn't want to play. They just didn't want to play, And we almost laid down on the field. It was just that bad. Terrible display, man. And I'll never forget, Robert James was the guy. He ended up going, because we couldn't even get a quarterback going there and take the snap. It was so cold. And the guy who was from farthest south of anybody on the team, he ended up being the only quarterback that would go in there and take the snap, old Robert James. But we ended up seemed like I think we won the game, but we got up out of there. When we go in to play Jackson State, I saw the same thing happening. As we're coming down and getting ready to land, you start seeing the overcast, and they were talking about they were going to have snow. It was going to turn into snow. I remembered them guys had quit on me, and because at Florida A&M, we go up there in a game like that, man, we ain't had no gear. At Ohio State, we'd had all this, bad weather gear and all these hoods and all. We go up there, man, we ain't got nothing. We just out there cold. Them guys don't want to play in it, man. And so I saw the same thing happen. So I went to Coach Tooks. I said, Coach, man, we need as many long johns as you can find. I don't know, because I remember this happened to us, and he remembered. He went out and he found all the long johns that they had in the city. And we had some of the players, when we went out to warm up, some of the players had gotten 2 and 3 pair. And some of the, to some of the guys that wasn't going to play, they wouldn't let them have any, you know what I'm saying? And so a couple of them had the sweats clothes on under there. They just freaked out because it had turned into snow and sleet. But because of that, because they had 2 and 3 pairs on, they came in, they were hot. They had sweated. And so I knew then we were going to be okay. But it was still ice and everything. And so my whole mindset had changed, man. I didn't know what was going to happen because of what had happened in the past. But them guys came down there. We were able to hold them pretty good. It was back and forth. 15-10, it was the game, back and forth. And we got down there, 3rd down. We came up there and with a big hole. I think Harold Oliver busted through there and got him. 4th down, it must have been 1 or 2. And they came out there, man, they were going to run that option. And Spanky Ramsey came up. Him and this Perry Williams guy collided. Had to go get both of them. But he stopped them. No gain. That was the game right there, man. Spanky put a hit on him, man, and both of them went out for the count. That was the hardest game I've ever seen us play. Yeah. And the next game, we go to Massachusetts, it was a weather game because of the wind, but the physicality, that Jackson State game, boy, that thing was physical, man. That thing was physical. Wasn't nobody giving up. Wasn't nobody giving an inch. And so I just hope that people who I know both schools are trying to get back, but at that point both schools were playing good football at the time, man. We get good players, it was probably as good as it could be. And it was either we were going to win the national championship or Jackson State was going to win it, the way I saw it.
You heard it from Coach Hubbard himself. His face says it all, how intense that 1978 championship game, which granted the only HBCU ever to win the NCAA 1AA championship, which is now FCS. The Rattlers would prevail, but not without a fight, a dog fight in Jackson. All right, next we're going to hear from the coaches. Let's go to Coach Prime and Coach Willie Shotgun at the press conference.
Just how big of a deal is this game going to be on Sunday on ESPN to showcase your team and FAMU and just kind of an overview of what a big deal this is going to be on Sunday for national TV?
Well, I think we had a wonderful opportunity. We have one. A couple of HBCUs played last Saturday, I believe. The ratings were phenomenal, went through the roof, and I'm happy. What was it, A&T and Alcorn? Central, North Carolina Central and Alcorn. I'm elated because the exposure is what we need to be seen and heard and understood is what we're trying to accomplish. It was a time with turbulent turbulent time in our country. That's one of the reasons I chose to sit down and for our AD to really stabilize and make me understand what's needed for this time, in such a time as this with Jackson State. It was a match made in heaven. So it was time, and God spoke to me in my heart, but this was the place. It was no other place that presented the opportunity like this one did in all facets, that we could provoke change instantaneously.
As far as what Coach Prime has brought to HBCUs, really just an overall, I don't want to call it awareness. I think people have known for a long time that HBCUs exist and produce the best and the brightest. We feel like, this country was built off of HBCUs. Our backbone, the fiber of our country is all ingrained through our HBCU culture. And so, for us, he's able, because of his, his larger than life personality and his influence, to say some things that maybe traditionally coaches have been a little bit, maybe not to say afraid, but hesitant to say. To call out the big networks, the powers that be, to say, hey, look, our product deserves to be televised just like everyone else's, right? We deserve the same opportunities to showcase our fine young men just like everyone else. I don't think that Coach Prime is the reason that we've had 19 of 32 NFL teams at our practices this training camp. I think Marquise Bell and Keenan Forbes is the reason for that. Those guys have put in the work and have made themselves NFL prospects. Same as Xavier Smith, Chris Vadul, Antoine Collier, and the other guys that we have the NFL scouts are asking about. So I don't think that he's made HBCU football better. I think that he's just brought some awareness to the product that we put on the field and made people take a second look. And so thankful to him for that. But they've been great football coaches in HBCUs for a very, very long time.
Yes, definitely. How can you keep 70 guys focused in Miami? You try that. Try keeping 3 focused. It's tough to keep all of them focused, but you got to understand there's a standard we've set. There's a standard we must live by. There's a standard that we must practice by. We must coincide by. There's a standard that we're trying to achieve. And they understand the standard. Now, the guys that understand the standard, that wants to take this to the next level, they straight. The guys that don't, they won't. And we'll handle that as such. Next trip, they won't be on the trip. And the guys that understand the standard, they will. That's simple as that.
We have a football team that's eager to take the field. Obviously, everyone knows it's been over 650 days since we last played in live competition. And so these guys are excited. They've had a great training camp, the best we've ever had. They're in tip-top shape. They're a close football team, and they're looking forward to showing the world what we're made of here at Florida A&M. We feel we produce the best and the brightest in all areas, not just athletics. And as a football team, we take great pride in representing this phenomenal institution every chance we get. And so we'll take the field with great pride, and we'll take the field with excellence, as our motto states, and you'll see a group of young men who represent over 85,000 living alumni.
It's obvious why we chose Jackson State. You see the attention, you see the national spotlight it has on it right now. You see just everything about it, coaching staff, the years of experience and all that. You come here to learn, you come here to get wisdom from coaches that already been where we're trying to go. So why not choose Jackson State?
It's a little different, but it's still home. So like, it's kind of cool, like telling people we're about to get off on exit 2X by the stadium, telling them where I live, stuff like that. But it's been a great experience. Good way to go out for my last year.
Have you been able to see your family already?
Yeah.
I didn't know when that was, because we hadn't sanctioned that. When you had time to see family, what you been doing? We'll have a conversation when this is over.
I would hope so. That's the only reason we're here. I don't know what got down in 1978, but I know it's going to get down on Sunday. So I don't know those type of things, but I do know that these are storied universities. These universities tell a wonderful tale. It's so much tradition, and we're elated when my AD told us upon hiring me, we're going to play in the Orange Blossom Classic. First, he had explained it to me what that was and the magnitude and the multitude of that. And once I embraced it, I'm like, this is a tremendous opportunity. And everything has been done but first class. For these young men to get on a chartered flight and a 4- or 5-star hotel and accommodations be as it is, it's unbelievable. They are getting a Power 5 experience daily, and that's what they deserve. Why not us?
I'd like to echo Coach Prime's sentiment to the Orange Blossom Classic Committee for your commitment to making this game happen. We know how important this game is to not only the two institutions, Florida A&M and Jackson State, but the city of Miami, Miami Gardens, and entire South Florida. This is a game that FAMU's been a part of since the mid-'30s. We've had a 40-year hiatus, but now we're glad to finally be back in the mecca of high school football, being able to play this great game in Hard Rock Stadium.
Okay, Vaughn, you've been telling us all week about the players to watch. You've been in Tallahassee covering the Rattlers practice, so you have covered that on the special and you have covered it throughout the week. Fans also want to know about some of those players to watch for Jackson State. Instead of me just going down the roster, all right, let's turn it over to some guys who are at the JSU practice on a daily basis, our partners from the pregame show. Here is Mr. Neely himself. He's with you down in Miami, telling us some of the players to look out for on the Jackson State side.
I think that the defensive line is going to be where you want to watch, because we were giving up a lot of run yards in the past spring season, and it's one of those units that's been touted as much improved. So you want to just watch the entire D-line and the substitutions that are coming in. You want to keep an eye on Junior, as we call him, transferred here from Auburn. Can't forget about Jermani Crane. There's going to be a lot of activity on that D-line, subbing in and out, and the coaches have been working with them to make sure there's no drop-off. Just because the twos are coming in, you should not notice that the ones are no longer out there. And the same thing with that linebacker core. Clearly, Aubrey Miller and Keontae Hampton are expected to have a big game, but the same thing with their backups. We don't want drop off is what the coaches have been preaching. So watching those play counts, watching those situations that guys perform best in, and making sure those right units are out there in the right situations for them and their conditioning and their strength and what the play call is, but just monitoring that all game long. So I don't think there has just one individual player to watch, like, hey, we got to watch this guy. You're going to be watching that whole unit, because what we have this time around compared to the spring is not only does Coach Prime have his dogs, but we have depth.
Okay, so we've heard from Neely in today's Orange Blossom Classic Special, talking about Jackson State. Now let's hear from his partner, Charles Bishop, who just a couple of weeks ago had a chance to sit down with Roy Curry, who was the quarterback on that famous 1962 Jackson State football team.
This Orange Blossom Classic, it is a renewal, if you will, of prior history, a prior legacy of HBCU history in terms of Florida A&M hosting this Orange Blossom Classic. You guys played some epic games, 1961, 1962. You split Orange Blossom Classic championship, but this Florida A&M team, Bullet Bob Paramore, they were had a 21 game win streak during that time as well. You two teams were the creme de la creme, if you will, of HBCU football.
Yes, we were. And of course, the first year we went down there, this is the greatest experience that I think most of us had at that particular time. We went down there on a one-engine plane, and the plane could only seat about 48 people at that particular time. Mm-hmm. And of course, we just had never flown before. I can say 99%, 95% of us had never flown before. And that pressure from that small plane got on us, and we were looking around. We thought this was going to be the end of us. And then finally, someone said, start chewing some gum. And of course, that kind of eased it. And then we all had on warmer clothes, and we got hot, we were sweating. And then when we land, we land into that 80-degree weather down there. And man, we came out of those coats, man. Oh man, we couldn't believe it. We were staying at this beautiful hotel and things that we hadn't seen before, just things we hadn't seen before. And then, of course, that night of the game, man, we're warming up, and this was amazing. We were warming up before the game, and I told Willie, I said, Willie, I said, man, this is a lot of people. We used to playing in front of 7,000 to 10,000 people, and here it is, 40-some thousand in there at that particular time to see us warm up. And we went back into the locker room, and I told Coach John Merritt, I said, Coach Merritt, that's a lot of people out there. He said, well, we don't care. We just gonna put the show on the road. And I said, okay. I said, let's go get them. And we played a heck of a ball game. And we lost the ball game in the last few seconds. I threw a pass down the field, and they knocked it down. So we lost the first game. What was the score? 14-8.
Yeah, I think 1914 was the or 14-8. You're right. Was the score in the 1961?
I think the 14-8 the first game. Yeah, and then the second game we went back because we put on such a great performance. The second game we went back, we ended up beating them 22-6, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 22-6, and man, oh man, we had a hell of a night that night. I mean, we had a hell of a night, great night.
So, what was the atmosphere down there in Miami for the Orange Blossom Classic? I read, 47,000 1962 game, the rematch of Jackson State and Florida A&M, but just the atmosphere in terms of playing this team again, and you both are the best of the best, if you will.
Nothing like it. The atmosphere down there was just here. I think we were the second Afro-American team to stay on the beach. And it was something like we never, nothing but a big congregation of people were surrounding us because they hadn't seen that many Black people, together at that particular time. And the hotel we were staying in were first class, and of course, Coach Mary, he kind of kept us together all the time, make sure we wouldn't, do anything wrong. But I tell you, man, everybody came around, the sports writers were writing down different things that and taking pictures. Of course, we were all very nice young men. All of us very nice young men. And all we were doing, getting prepared for the game. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then, of course, the fans started showing up. And of course, he wouldn't let them come around us because, he wanted us to stay focused on the game at that particular time. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But
yeah, I take a look at the pictures of that time frame, and I'm just amazed at the players that were playing in this game. I mean, when you kind of take a look at some of the players in this game, I think by last count there were 12 who eventually were drafted either the AFL or the NFL that play in this game. Just an amazing amount of talent. But and you touched on it. I mean, guys like Willie Richardson, Gloucester Richardson, Verlon Biggs played on defense. Just so many guys that played in this game. It was phenomenal just reading about it.
Frank Molan also. Then you got Ben McGee, of course. I think I called Danny Pride name. He played professionally. Yeah, all these guys. Taft Reed, he played. Benny Crenshaw, he played in the game. We had a lot of guys just were so. I mean, they were outstanding. It's great talent, just great talent.
After last weekend in the MEAC SWAC Challenge, I think maybe we should keep our predictions to ourselves. But I will say one thing that I'm going to watch very closely, and I think the game might hinge on this, and that's the play of the quarterbacks. And no big surprise, right? Quarterbacks touch the ball nearly every play of the game. So let's talk about this. On the FAMU side, is there going to be any pressure? Because this quarterback race went all the way up to the Orange Blossom Classic. Whoever gets the start, will they be looking over their shoulder? Will they feel secure about making a mistake, taking a big chance? On the other side, for Jackson State, Shedeur Sanders has known he's going to be the quarterback from the moment he said he was coming to Jackson State. And I don't think he's going to be too worried about getting pulled if he makes a mistake here or there. Does that mean he plays a little looser? Does that translate to the rest of the team? I don't know. Not ready to make a prediction. I'm just ready to watch a good game. But the battle of the two quarterbacks is something I'll be watching closely, Vaughn.
All right, we're back at HBCU Game Day live. It is game day here in South Florida. You can feel the energy. There's music everywhere, people everywhere, events going on all weekend. It's just the place to be.
Word. Yeah. Word.
Thank you.